Part 83. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 831. Wu Yu was too lazy to listen to what the ghost array guest had to say. Because from now on, if the other party has no other means, it will be difficult to threaten him again. The only possibility is to continue to imprison Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao. Wu Yu can leave, but Nanshan Wanjiao cannot. The ghost array guest is indeed very strong. Nanshan Wanjiao is currently injured and cannot help. Wu Yu can't even help in his own body, but he has the speed of a somersault cloud and can get rid of the ghost array guest. The only one who can fight with the opponent is Swallow, the body of heaven. Now, his sky-devouring body with white hair and blood-stained eyes, holding the pitch-black beaming Emperor's palace, intercepted him between Wu Yu and the ghost array guest. At this time, Wu Yu's white hair was sky-high, his bloody eyes were cold and demonic, and he had a completely different temperament. For the first time, the ghost array guest realized that the most valuable thing about Wu Yu was not the skeletal flame dragon, but the very beginning. The clone he didn't care much about. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. I didn't expect that you, kid, have so many secrets. To have such profound spiritual resources and an equally talented demon tracer, your status in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom must be very high. If it weren't for the fact that you don't have the mark of the Yanhuang royal family between your eyebrows. I thought you were the emperor's son. But I'm afraid, your status is not lower than the emperor's. I can trap you here until someone from the Ghost Flame clan can control you, then I will too. That's a great achievement. The ghost warrior didn't rush to fight back, but said with a hint of intimidation. Wu Yu's body and Nanshan Wanjiao were far away from him. Now that Nanshan Wanjiao had been hit by the power of this magic circle once, and with the warning, he is now in a much better situation and will not fall into irritability and chaos again for the time being. The one who responded to the ghost array guest was Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body. He said coldly, "Don't scare me. When he meets a young man like me who has a talent that makes you covet, he must be thinking about how to do it to keep it to yourself. With your greedy personality, it would be strange for you to share it with others. Anyway, there is no way to escape from here for the time being. Wu Yu can only spend time with the other party like this." On the side of the main body somersault cloud, Nanshan Wanjiao gradually stabilized his emotions. He looked at Wu Yu with a somewhat solemn look and said, "I have seen everything this time. Wu Yu, I can only say sorry to you. I can see that you are very loyal to me, but before this moment, I actually did not treat you with the same attitude. I just wanted to use you, even control you, and let you follow me. You are so loyal and so called. I am ashamed of myself, and if nothing else, from now on, I will treat you the same way you treat me today, and I will not let you look down on me." He talked a lot, and after he finished speaking, he felt happy, breathed a sigh of relief, and Wu Yu smiled innocently. It's okay. When making friends, there is always a process of mutual sacrifice. If you can be honest, I also feel that everything you have done today is worth it. Wu Yu didn't say much else. He knew that Nanshan Wanjiao was right at the beginning. He has a little bad intentions, but it can be regarded as Wu Yu's efforts. Now Nanshan Wanjiao is willing to show his sincerity. Of course, this also shows that Nanshan Wanjiao is not bad in nature. Back then, he was just a simple little wild boar. So loyal. It's really worth getting to know you. We happen to have similar inheritances. Maybe the Monkey King and Marshal Tianpeng are acquaintances. Now that we are fighting side by side, we can be regarded as inheriting the inheritance of these two old people. To be honest, when I first saw you, I felt a little familiar. Let's talk about it now. The relationship has no intention of getting closer. In fact, Wu Yu was like this too. When he first saw Nanshan Wanjiao, he also had a familiar feeling. Now that the other party was in danger, he couldn't help but want to take care of him. Although the other party was older than himself, Wu Yu still felt that he plays a role similar to that of an elder brother. Of course, Nanshan Wanjiu does not recognize this, he wants to be the boss. While Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiu were having a relaxed conversation, on the other side, the ghost array guest was also having a heated conversation with Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body. The ghost array guest vented his anger and wanted to chase Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiu, but found that they were not. It has no effect, so now he wants to control Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiu. He has two main goals, one is Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body, and the other is Nanshan Wanjiu. He could tell that Wu Yu's sky-devouring body was not as terrifying as his main body. However, he could also see that Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body was not weak. As for Nanshan Wanjiu, he still wanted to use the magic circle to influence him, so first, he started to operate the huge magic circle at his feet. For a time, the ice and snow in the world frozen by glaciers began to melt, and the sea of flowers all over the mountains and fields even grew again. Suddenly, that strange fragrance began to be released again. Underworld Sword Gyu, when the ghost array guest had just activated the magic circle to let the sea of flowers all over the mountains and fields break through the black glacier, Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body reacted quickly. He soared into the sky with the beaming Emperor's Tower, and stabbed into the sky with the sword. The sword energy split into tens of millions and rushed into the clouds in the sky. Countless cold air surged across the sky, forming dense dark clouds. For a time, the sky was covered with dark clouds. And what's flashing in the dark clouds is not thunder, but countless sword energies that are like ice cubes, roaring in the dark clouds. Fall, under the control of the sky-devouring body, heavy rain fell between the dark clouds. At one time, hundreds of millions of black sword chi, like sharp ice, fell down with a crashing sound. The range was extremely huge, and the speed of falling was also amazingly fast. All you could hear was the sound of the whole world breaking. Hundreds of millions of sword chi were all inserted into the mountains and plains, piercing the ground formed by the entire magic circle with thousands of holes. The whole ground seemed to be turned over, and after entering again, the cold air spread, freezing the whole world into a dark glacier world again, and this time the thickness was thicker than the last time. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. And the dark clouds rolled in the sky, and the sharp sword chi was still falling. This is the power of the Dark Sea Sword Ghost Rain. There are many ways to use the attack array of each Taoist weapon. Sometimes you can attack directly, and sometimes you can use it as delicately as Wu Yu did, just to swallow the array controlled by the opponent and the strange fragrance emitted by the flowers. In fact, Wu Yu borrowed the beaming Emperor K to stop the operation of the opponent's array. Of course, this requires a very strong force. After swallowing the 7 people of the Laiyan Legion, the power of Wu Yu's heaven-swallowing body is now very close to that of this short and ugly ghost swordsman. This made the ghost swordsman very angry. He just figured out how to deal with Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiu, and the array was just running, and it was destroyed by the heaven-swallowing body. Although he still has a way to make those flowers break through the ice sea, it is obvious that Wu Yu's heaven-swallowing body can continue to freeze the flowers by his glacier. This cycle will not benefit the ghost array guest at all. Moreover, this place is the territory of the Xuanhuan clan. If he stays here for a long time, it will be quite dangerous. Therefore, with Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body, it is very difficult for him to control Nanshan Wanjiu. His original body and the demon are both moving away from me, but his clone is still close to me and not with the original body. Obviously, he wants this clone to fight against me and gain some combat experience. In this case, I will focus on this clone. He stared at Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body. The heaven-devouring body did not have the speed of Wu Yu's original body, so he had the possibility of controlling this clone. His clone is more powerful than his original body. If I control it, it will be considered as his greatest wealth, and his original body will be even more unable to leave. After staring at Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body, the ghost array guest finally had an idea. At this time, he held the ancient soul dream-locking spirit Deo instrument in one hand, and then a sharp knife appeared on the fingers of his right hand. The knife was all black with blood-colored patterns on it, like the sharp and poisonous teeth of some giant beast. As soon as it appeared, it showed extremely bloodthirsty and amazing ability. A closer look revealed that this knife should be the most powerful upper spiritual weapon of the ghost array guest. Just now, he used this knife to instantly penetrate the forehead of the cultivator of the Thunder Flame Legion. Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body was still quite dangerous when facing such a knife. It seems that you want to confront me head-on. This is interesting. Let me see what you are capable of. The ghost array guest now completely gave up on controlling the array and focused his attention on the heaven-devouring body. He held the ancient soul dream lock in one hand and the knife in the other hand, and quickly approached Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body. As soon as the battle started, Wu Yu endured the opponent's huge pressure. After all, the opponent was a genuine three disasters asking Deo realm strongman, and the years of cultivation were at least 10 times that of Wu Yu. Especially the knife, although it was held in his hand, it seemed to be against Wu Yu's forehead all the time. This knife can definitely penetrate Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body. The ghost formation guest may have regarded this knife as a deadly weapon, and wanted to kill the devouring heaven body in the most inadvertent moment, so he did not use it at first, but used it as a deterrent. After all, what he wanted most was to control the devouring heaven body, and then control Wu Yu. Ancient Soul Dream C, he first used the Ancient Soul Dream lock, and the chain composed of the skulls of the man was thrown out by him. For a while, the chain was entangled repeatedly, forming a huge circle, connected from head to tail, trapping Wu Yu's devouring heaven body in it. Each of the skulls has now become extremely huge, and they are facing Wu Yu, as if countless people who died tragically are now howling at Wu Yu. These skulls facing themselves, their eyes, ears, mouths and noses all sprayed out thick black fog, and for a while formed an ocean, swallowing Wu Yu's devouring heaven body in it. This is an attack array that attacks both the physical body and the soul. As expected, the strong man of the three disasters asking the Wei realm is deadly and murderous as soon as he makes a move. However, Wu Yu's reaction was also quite fast. Seeing the mist encroaching, his expression did not change at all. There were countless skeletons biting in the mist, and they were about to be transmitted into the body of the devouring heaven body. At this moment, Wu Yu's devouring heaven body also directly transformed into a mist state, and quickly swept into a huge black vortex, which suddenly spun at high speed. Whoosh! At this time, it was not the mist sprayed from the opponent's skulls that was eroding Wu Yu's body and soul, but Wu Yu turned into a devouring vortex, swallowing the mist. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 832. The devouring heaven body now displayed the first magical power that Wu Yu discovered in it. Wu Yu gave it a very simple name, called Return. The meaning of return is very simple, that is, to return the things that the opponent attacked you to the opponent. Of course, the opponent's attack is sometimes very strong, exceeding the limit of what he can control. However, the limit of what he can control is sometimes terribly high. If the opponent is not absolutely beyond his devouring heaven body, then it is very likely that under Wu Yu's strong will and transformation, an incredible reversal will occur for the enemy. Moreover, some types of attacks are more suitable for transformation, while others are not. For example, the knife in the opponent's hand is the most difficult to transform once it attacks. Wu Yu's devouring heaven body is estimated to be directly penetrated. However, some attacks are very easy and suitable for transformation, that is, the attack that the opponent is now launching, the attack array of the Ancient Soul Dream Lock, the Ancient Soul Dream C. Surrounded by the skull, the pitch-black mist swept towards Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body frantically. At this moment, Wu Yu's heaven-devouring body suddenly turned into a huge vortex, spinning at high speed, and immediately swallowed the pitch-black mist into the vortex. The combination of the two could only hear the whirring sound, and the sound of the skull being shattered after being sucked into the vortex could be faintly heard. The heaven-devouring body itself knows best where its limits are, but limits can also be challenged. The opponent's attack in the three disasters asking realm rushed to Wu Yu's limit at once. The corrosive mist was sucked into the heaven-devouring body, which could also cause damage to the heaven-devouring body itself. His body and strength decayed into something else, but Wu Yu was also assimilating a kind of mist in the rotation, controlling it, transforming it into his own, and even integrating his own characteristics into it. Roar, the roar of a giant beast even emanated from the black vortex. It was Wu Yu who was unconsciously roaring. He was struggling and resisting, constantly pushing his limits, suppressing and controlling the violent energy in his body. What's going on? The ghost array guest originally had a smile on his face, but now his smile gradually disappeared, replaced by astonishment. He had shown this expression to Wu Yu more than once. Because he felt that his ancient soul dream C, instead of causing harm to the opponent, was gradually out of his control, as if the knife in his hand was gradually changing and becoming someone else's knife. This was something that had never happened to him before. However, he did not have much time to react, because the vortex was getting bigger and bigger, swallowing up all the mist in an instant, and then spinning more crazily. Every time it spun, the ghost would lose some control until the black vortex spun to the highest speed, then suddenly stopped and spun in the opposite direction. The process of reverse rotation was that the transformed mist suddenly spurted out of the black vortex like a river or sea, forming a huge water column, rushing towards the ghost. Such an attack, which came from the ghost himself, was naturally a direct threat to him. Compared with the previous attack of the ghost, it was even more powerful after adding the characteristics of the body of the swallowing sky. Now the one facing the threat has changed and become the ghost. After the violent mist, the ghost could see the vortex gradually condensed into Wu Yu with white hair and blood eyes. The blood eyes were cold and strange, and the white hair was flying. A terrible feeling appeared out of thin air, as if this was not a person, but a giant beast covering the sky. What the hell is this thing? Is it a human, an animal, or a demon? The ghost array guest was speechless and cursed in his heart, but he had to resist his own attack. Moreover, after returning the opponent's attack array to the opponent, the beaming Emperor K in Wu Yu's hand suddenly turned into a long whip with sections connected to each other. Each section had barbs, and the end of the long whip was as sharp as a spear tip. At this time, Wu Yu was like holding the dragon's head. A black dragon swayed and whistled in front of him. Suddenly, he swung his arm, and the long whip tore the air, making a series of explosion-like sounds, extending infinitely, following the corrosive mist, and whipping towards the ghost array guest. Wherever it went, a large amount of cold air was released from the long whip. The long whip gathered the coldness of the entire nether sea. At this time, it burst out, and wherever it went, even the air was frozen. The overwhelming coldness gathered in the fog in front, combining the two attacks into one. The previous fog had added countless cold air, and the sharp long whip was hidden in it. There were countless magic arrays in it, and a large number of symbols emerged. This was almost the strongest attack in history, and it rolled in front of the ghost array guest. Northern Domain Holy Nether Dragon. In the magic array of the Northern Nether Emperor, whether it was the Nether Sea Sword Ghost Rain or the Northern Domain Holy Nether Dragon, the lethality was very terrible, close to the Heavenly Spirit Deo weapon. Now the ghost array guest was facing a huge problem. He looked ugly, but his reaction was particularly fast. He quickly retracted the ancient soul dream lock, and the skulls quickly lined up in front of him. All of a sudden, the skulls formed a thick wall, lined up in front of him. When all the skulls gathered together, they changed and turned into other bones. The wall also instantly turned into a skeleton giant with 3 heads and 6 arms. The skeleton giant hugged his arms and rushed towards Wu Yu's attack bravely, and they collided with each other in an instant. Bang bang bang, a huge explosion occurred within the magic circle. A majestic roar sounded, and the entire glacier world was shaken by the explosion. The peak cold air was mixed with the corrosive atmosphere, and now it was released, allowing the whole world has fallen into a higher degree of coldness. Boom! The skeletal giant was quickly swept into the cold air, and the extreme cold caused it to quickly decay. Under the attack of the northern holy ghost dragon, the skeletal giant exploded instantly and turned into countless shattered bones. Countless cold air penetrated the bones and swept away in the direction of the ghost array guest, swallowing him up in an instant. This was an attack by the ghost array guest, and the combined power of Wu Yu's Beiming Emperor's palace would definitely exceed that of the ghost array guest. It was a careless and hasty reaction. The holy dragon of the North Territory instantly struck the ghost array guest, and with a loud bang, the ghost array guest flew away. He was instantly frozen, rolled into a huge ice ball and slid out of the glacier. Obviously, this was in an instant. Wu Yu attacked the ghost array guest. It caused a certain degree of crushing. However, just when Wu Yu was a little happy, the ice ball exploded instantly, and the ghost guest appeared from it. Although he was disgraced, he was obviously not seriously injured. At this time, he could still look at Wu Yu with great anger and sneer again and again. Obviously, he wanted to attack Wu Yu before, but was attacked by Wu Yu instead, but this definitely does not mean that his strength is like this. After all, it will not take him a day or two to reach the realm of 3 disasters. I didn't expect you to be so capable and barely have the strength to confront me head on. However, you are too young and still a little behind. However, you have succeeded in irritating me, and I will not follow you next. You're welcome. Wu Yu also didn't expect that his carefully prepared counterattack would not cause any trauma to the opponent. He can still accept it in his heart. After all, he knows how powerful the other party is, and it is incredible to be able to push the other party to this level. The question is, how should we engage with the other party next? After testing the opponent's strength, no one is sure that even the body that swallows the sky is far from the opponent's opponent, so he is ready to retreat. As long as he returns to the somersault cloud, the opponent still can't catch up with him. At this moment, Wu Yu saw the opponent holding the knife and was about to use the knife to attack. At this critical moment, Wu Yu quickly rode the somersault cloud towards the body that swallowed the sky, and the body that swallowed the sky also headed towards him. All three moved at the same moment. Wu Yu clearly saw that the knife flew out of the opponent's hand as soon as he moved his finger. The speed was really terrifying. It seemed very simple and there was no movement at all. He quietly approached Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body, but what he brought was unexpected. It is a fatal murderous intention. Fortunately, Wu Yu reacted faster. His somersault cloud quickly collided with the sky-swallowing body and swept the sky-swallowing body away. He was almost hit by the knife. Moreover, the knife can still turn and continue to chase Wu Yu. At this time, Wu Yu rides a somersault cloud and escapes quickly. The speed of the knife is also very fast, but Wu Yu is just a little faster than the knife. This means that even if the knife can keep chasing like a living thing, the gap between it and Wu Yu will become wider and wider. The world of this magic circle is so wide, and Wu Yu still has a lot of room to escape. The ghost array guest tried to operate the magic circle to revive the sea of flowers that could cause chaos, but whenever this happened, Wu Yu's sky-swallowing body would temporarily break away from the somersault cloud, and use the underworld sword Gyu to bring the sea of flowers back to life again. This magic circle world is sealed into a glacier. As a result, the other party still had no way to deal with Wu Yu. Seeing that the ghost guest was getting more and more irritable, Wu Yu became more and more calm. As expected, after half an hour, the turning point came. It's useless for you to escape like this. There won't be any Yanhuang tribe here at all. My magic power is stronger than yours. You will be exhausted one day, and then you will die. Don't be ridiculous. You are more anxious than me. Let's see who can last longer, Wu Yu said calmly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 833. After a stalemate for a long time, the ghost array guest still had no way to deal with Wu Yu. Even though he looked confident with a sinister smile on his face, in fact, he was already filled with anger. It happened that at this moment, he was thinking of a way to make Wu Yu give in, when his expression suddenly changed. He suddenly retracted the knife that was chasing Wu Yu, and then in an instant, he rushed under the ground and penetrated into the ground. Disappeared in the blink of an eye. When he disappeared, the whole world changed drastically. The mountain water under the frozen glacier disappeared instantly, and the whole world seemed to melt. In a short period of time, the surrounding lava world resurfaced, and the scorching hot the breath hit his face, and the magma rolled in, washing over Wu Yu's body. Although it was very hot, Wu Yu still felt more comfortable, because this meant that the opponent had escaped at this time, and even the magic circle was not functioning. He Nanshan Wanjiao finally escaped from this magic circle. Seeing the surrounding magma world, filled with steaming mist and hot magma, Wu Yu undoubtedly knew that the reason why the ghost array guests escaped must be because of the arrival of the Yanhuan clan, and they happened to be passing by nearby. See the changes here. Sure enough, when Wu Yu was looking for that person, an old man with pale hair, tall and burly, calm and powerful appeared in front of Wu Yu. The most impressive thing was that his eyes were purple. Thunder, the moment Wu Yu looked at him, his eyes stung a little, as if the purple lighting had rushed into his eyes. This person should be from the Lei Yan Legion. However, judging from the purple-black armor on his body, his status should be higher than that of the previous group of hidden dragon generals. Generally, the Tianlong generals of the Lei Yan Legion rarely come here. Then this should be General Lei Yan, the second level among generals. This is also the strength above the level of the three disaster Dao realm, and this person is obviously at a higher level than the ghost array guest, otherwise the ghost array guest would not have escaped in such a hurry. Since the opponent is from the Lei Yan Legion, he should be more careful. After all, Wu Yu devoured the flesh and blood of the 7 cultivators. However, the ghost array guest ran away, and the ghost array guest himself did not know what Wu Yu had devoured, so it was quite difficult for this matter to be spread. Therefore, even if Wu Yu met General Lei Yan, he would still be fearless. Before that, his sky-swallowing body had turned into black mist and was rolled into his clothes. Now he and Nanshan Wanjiao were the only ones standing here. The other party first observed them, and finally his eyes fell on them. On Wu Yu's body. It turns out to be the Le Emperor Envoy. Isn't the Le Emperor Envoy in the divine capital? Why did he come here? Moreover, if my guess is correct, the one who escaped just now should be the ghost array guest, right? General Lei Yan looked at Wu Yu and the others, then said. It sounds like ghost formation guest should be quite famous here. Wu Yu nodded and said, I came here with the permission of Yanlong General Yu Chenyang to practice. I just accidentally entered the magic circle of the ghost array guest. Fortunately, you came and rescued me. However, may I ask? Your Excellency, General Lei Yan of the Lei Yan Army. Yu Chenyang is indeed a young and promising guy. Yes, my name is Lei Ting, and I am indeed General Lei Yan. The other party didn't know what was going on at this time, so he was relatively relaxed and did not chase the ghost formation guest, obviously because the ghost formation guest is so famous that it is difficult to catch up. After Lei Ting confirmed, Wu Yu also knew that the affairs of those 7 people could not be concealed, so he said directly, there is something I must tell you. The person who accidentally entered the circle at the same time as me was Lei Yan. There are 7 hidden dragon generals in the Legion. The magic formation of Ghost Array has the ability to plunge people into chaos and inspire inner darkness, causing the 7 hidden dragon generals to kill each other. With some of my own abilities, I can only save the followers around me, but I have no choice. All 7 people have died in the battle. Because time is urgent, I don't know the names of those 7 people. I only remember that they called Liangsheng and Wan'er. What did you say? The other party's originally calm expression changed suddenly. As General Lei Yan, he obviously knew those people. The group of 7 people gathered together to practice in this place. The possibility that he didn't know them was very small. And maybe he is the Qianlong general under him. Maybe, the summons talisman they sent before was for this person, but it was intercepted by the Ghost Array guest. So the other party was very excited at this time. Wu Yu said seriously, "These are all my personal experiences, and there is absolutely no mistake. The Ghost Array guest is cruel and insidious, and his attainments in the magic circle are at the pinnacle. I only relied on my magical speed to escape from his pursuit, until now. It's a pity that the other 7 are unlucky, 6 of them are killing each other, and the last woman was killed by the Ghost Array guest. This is the reverse blood soul demonic array." After Wu Yu finished speaking, General Lei Yan named Lei Ting directly said the name of this array. He should know something about the Ghost Array guest. When Wu Yu said this, Lei Ting basically knew that the death of those 7 people was absolutely true. This is a big deal. After all, these people are very young among the Qianlong generals and will be the pillars of the Lei Yan Legion in the future. Their parents sent them to the Lei Yan Legion and never thought that such a thing would happen. Lei Ting's face was obviously a lot more anxious. He first looked around, and in a blink of an eye, he collected some sumuru bags and spiritual tools used by those people. These were not taken away by the Ghost Array guests in the emergency. "Why are there only relics and no corpse?" Lei Ting asked in confusion and shock. After all, such a big matter obviously requires a corpse to be confirmed. Wu Yu had already thought about how to answer. He said, "I didn't see it clearly. It might have been taken away by the Ghost Array guest. After all, their ghost cultivators often use corpses to practice some Taoist methods that are harmful to nature. Then why did you take away the body but not these treasures?" Wu Yu said, "I don't know about that. I guess he was afraid of taking these things away, so he couldn't take action. He originally wanted to kill us too. As long as we die, no one will know that he did it. If you bring the relics, it will cause trouble. As for the corpse, he can use it in many ways and it will naturally not be seen." Wu Yu's explanation is reasonable. The key is that their lives and deaths are not their corpses. Their corpses are no longer important. Lei Ting contacted them now, but of course he couldn't contact them at all. He didn't say much and asked Wu Yu to wait. Then he sent a few communication talismans, probably to spread the news here first. "Don't leave yet. This matter is quite involved. Everything I know now is from your mouth. Their parents should also want to know the process. As a person who survived here, Wu Yu, the parents of those 7 people, must want to find out more from him. Of course, the murderer must be relatively certain, it must be the ghost guest. Although it is difficult for others to guess the matter of the sky-swallowing body, if too many people ask, or even if they catch the Ghost Array guest and interrogate the Ghost Array guest, it may cause some trouble to Wu Yu. But one thing is certain, that is, the ones who killed these 7 people must be Ghost Array guests, and their deaths have nothing to do with Wu Yu. As for what happened before, it was because they wanted to snatch the spiritual Taoist artifact that Wu Yu got from the Ghost Flame clan. This had nothing to do with Wu Yu, it was something they asked for themselves. Lei Ting wanted Wu Yu to follow him to Lei Yan Fort first. After he told the elders and parents of the 7 people about what happened here, someone from there would definitely go directly to Lei Yan Fort. It should be that the 8 legions have not suffered such heavy casualties in the lava hell for a while. This guy from the ghost array has caused a lot of casualties to the people of my 8 legions. However, because this person is proficient in magic circles and has great escaping skills, I have never been able to catch him or kill him. I didn't expect that he would become even worse. Lei Ting was also very angry, but there was nothing he could do. The depths of the lava hell were now occupied by the Guiyan tribe. The original intention of the Yanhuang tribe was to keep the Guiyan tribe for young people to gain experience. The Yanhuang tribe was ready to exterminate the entire Guiyan tribe. Strength, but if this were to be done, the Ghost Flame tribe would have been extinct countless years ago. At least, ancient Emperor Yanhuang did not issue an order and others could not do this. If the ghost array guest hid in the deepest part of the lava hell after killing people, it would be really difficult to find him again. Wu Yu's purpose of coming to the lava hell this time has been achieved. The sky-swallowing body is powerful enough, surpassing the realm of the original soul. So there is no need for him to stay here. It doesn't matter to him to go to Laiyan Castle. He and Lei Ting embarked on the road back. On the way, Wu Yu received a communication talisman, and to his surprise, it was Chu Yin, the commander of the Flame Dragon Legion. I saw the message written on the talisman: Le Emperor's son has been released from seclusion. The canonization ceremony will be held in the capital of the gods in 5 days. You must return from there as soon as possible. In 5 days, you must return to the capital of the gods. At this point, Emperor Le finally came out of seclusion, and he still had to face what he had to face. It just so happened that Wu Yu didn't want to go to Laiyan Castle very much, so he showed the messenger talisman to Lei Ting. Chu Yin's status and strength were much higher than Lei Ting's, and it involved the canonization ceremony of Le Emperor Envoy. For Emperor Le, it is a big deal. It was love, and it was also the imperial edict of the ancient Emperor Yanhuang. He had no guts to stop it. After thinking about it, he could only say, in that case, you can go back first, but after the canonization ceremony is over, their parents and elders may go. God is looking for you. It doesn't matter. Wu Yu nodded, and then followed Lei Ting in the direction of Yanlong Castle, preparing to return to the divine capital quickly. Soon after, they saw Yanlong Fort. At this time, the news has not reached here, so it is still very quiet here. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 834. Only by going up to the big well in the center of Yanlong Fort can you enter Yanlong Fort. In the process of crossing this ancient well, Wu Yu actually went through the detection of several magic formations. Because he entered the lava hell from Yanlong Castle, his information was recorded by several magic formations here. Otherwise, the magic circle of Yanlong Castle will think that he is a ghost flame tribe, or a demon from the lava hell, or a god of all things, and exclude him, or even trigger an attack magic circle on his own to kill him. When Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao passed through, there was no movement among these layers of magic formations, and they arrived at Yanlong Castle smoothly. At this time, there are still many flame dragon guards in Yanlong Castle. Most of them are relatively young. They are either training in Yanlong Castle, or they have just arrived here and are starting to prepare to enter the lava hell. Everyone is very busy. Lava hell is their battlefield for training, and Yanlong Castle is their base for rest and supplies. Wu Yu wanted to find someone who could open the Yanlong Fort for him and let him out. At this time, Yu Chenyang and the others had not yet entered the lava hell. The team he led before is still being prepared. Most of them are coming here for the first time, so they need to make more mental preparations. They may have gone into the lava hell before, but now they are out to rest. Wu Yu and the two left and returned, which naturally attracted their attention, and Wu Yu was also looking for them. Are you scared out so soon? Do you still dare to go in? Yu Chenyu felt disgusted when he saw them, and of course he was not polite. We have to go back to the capital of the gods, Help me open the flame dragon castle now. Wu Yu's mind was filled with the news that the emperor's son had escaped from seclusion, and Yu Chenyang and Yu Chenai couldn't attract his attention at all. Are you leaving now? The lava hell isn't that scary, right? You finally got here, and you're scared away just a few days ago, Yu Chenai couldn't help but sarcastically said. It seemed that he was worried about I was still a little unconvinced by the previous defeat. However, Wu Yu didn't bother to talk to him and said directly, Emperor Yu is out of seclusion. I have to go back and participate in the canonization ceremony. I don't have time to talk nonsense with you. After hearing the name of Emperor Yu, Yu Chenai put away his sarcastic expression and turned his face indifferent. Then he glanced at Yu Chenyang. When Yu Chenyang saw this, he didn't say much and directly sent a communication talisman. Not long after, Wu Yu saw a gap in the wall in the sky, which was enough for him and Nanshan Wanjiao to go out. Thank you. Yu Chenyang was quite straightforward, Wu Yu said casually, and then flew towards the sky with Nanshan Wanjiao. Wu Yu, don't be too embarrassed. During the canonization ceremony, when Wu Yu stood up and went up to the sky, Yu Chenyang was behind and said something coldly, not knowing what he meant. Wu Yu didn't bother to understand what this meant. After he and Nanshan Wanjiao left Yanlong Castle, they directly rode the somersault cloud and flew towards the divine capital. His return speed would be much faster than when he went there. It is estimated that we can reach the divine capital in a day or two. Nanshan Wanjiao also probably knew that Wu Yu was very nervous when he said that about the emperor's son. He said, it has something to do with the Taku Immortal Road. I really don't know what the hell it is. But sooner or later, we have to face it. For this guy, it's still the same old method, just adapt to circumstances. Wu Yu also figured out that there was no need to treat the other party as scary. Anyway, it has reached this level, so it must be adaptable. Moreover, he also made sufficient preparations in the lava hell. So, next, he rushed back to the divine capital at full speed without any hesitation. The Yanhuang ancient kingdom was very large, and the central territory divine continent was just one of the continents, but it was also very vast. In fact, it was as big as two northern Ming Emperor continents. Looking down from the sky, this is really a vast land of China. The magnificent spiritual energy sweeps between the heaven and the earth. All living beings practice Taoism. Everyone is a Taoist. Everyone has the dream of becoming an immortal. And in this land, nourished by spiritual energy, there are countless fairy treasures. Under this land, there are often inheritances left by countless ancestors, including their magic formations, talismans, and countless Taoist tools from ancient times. The Yanhuang tribe has been passed down for countless generations, and has created countless glorious eras in the world of Jambu. To this extent, the Yanhuang tribe still rules the world to this day. More and more inheritances are integrated into the Yanhuang tribe, and the wisdom and insights of countless people are passed on to future generations. Wherever it goes, scorching flames sweep across the heaven and earth. This is the Yanhuang people's most fervent enthusiasm for cultivating Taoism. Passing by this land and seeing countless cultivators, Wu Yu also had a shocking feeling in his heart. Everyone's pursuit of the dream presented was actually no less than his, even in the most ordinary small town, or it is a village where people are immersed in the practice of Taoism and understand the most profound principles in this world. Everyone's life can be transformed and transcended. Compared with the mortal fairyland of Dongsheng Shenzhou, everyone has a chance to survive for the sake of survival. There are many meanings. Such a world made the passion and heat in Wu Yu's heart even more surging. He was also moving towards the dream in his heart as if he had been given a shot of chicken blood. But now, the most important thing for him was to make his own name in the ancient kingdom of Yanhuang and in the capital of gods. It didn't take long for him to see the magnificent divine capital. He had crossed dozens of satellite cities next to the divine capital before arriving here. Not everyone can enter the gods. Most people have outstanding talents, but they can only go to the satellite cities and cannot approach the divine capital. After arriving at the divine capital, I didn't expect that Chuyin was still waiting for me at the gate of the divine capital. When Wu Yu arrived, he said a little impatiently, "Emperor Li, during the retreat, your Emperor Li's envoy has not been officially canonized. It's such an important period, it's better not to run around. You are lucky to be able to come back at the last moment this time." Wu Yu had nothing to say about his complaints. He asked Chuyin, "Why, come out here to wait for me? What's the matter?" Chuyin said, "In the ancient country of Yanhuang, I am the only one who can contact you. Who knows where you ran to? If I don't find you back, I haven't completed my mission. Now follow me to the Emperor Li's mansion." It seems that he wants to take Wu Yu to the Emperor Li's mansion and complete the canonization ceremony before he can complete his mission. It is estimated that after Emperor Li came out, he couldn't see Wu Yu, so he went to find him. Wu Yu followed him into the divine capital and quickly went towards the direction of the imperial city. With their identities, they are still very noticeable in the capital, especially Wu Yu. The son of Emperor Li has come out of retreat, and the date of enthroning the envoy of Emperor Li has been determined. It will be 4 days later. In a few days, the capital will become more lively because of Wu Yu, so when he walks on the street, there are still many people pointing fingers at him. During this period, Chuyin did not say a word. Wu Yu's heart moved, and he wanted to test him and asked, "After the son of Emperor Li came out of the ancient immortal road, do you think there is any difference from before?" "What difference can there be?" Chuyin asked him back. He obviously meant that there was no difference. Wu Yu was a little confused about this. He actually thought that Chu Fenjiao must have changed, but Chuyin seemed to be unable to detect it. Moreover, his son Xuanhuan, and Bailey Xuanhuan who liked his daughter, should have changed a little. At that time, I thought they were all dead, but I didn't expect that they could come back to life in the end. I was a little confused in my heart. After all, I saw the situation more clearly at that time, Wu Yu responded. "Put away all your doubts. In fact, other people's statements are similar to yours, but the wonders of the ancient immortal road are not something you can explain clearly. What you see is not necessarily true." "Is that so?" Wu Yu retained his doubts, but on the surface, he obeyed Chuyin's words. Not long after, he and Chuyin entered the imperial city, and then quickly went to the emperor's palace. This time along the way, Wu Yu heard a lot of people talking about what he said about the enthronement ceremony. The emperor's envoy is a very noble identity, and this enthronement ceremony seems to be quite grand, which is considered a grand event in the capital of the gods. The emperor's palace has arrived. "Emperor Li, the old minister Chuyin, take Wu Yu back to the emperor's palace." Standing at the door of the emperor's palace, Chuyin did not go in directly. "Come in." The voice of the Le emperor's son came from the Le emperor's mansion. Wu Yu listened attentively. At least it sounded like the voice was no different from the voice of the Le emperor's son in the ancient immortal road. The tone of the voice also seemed to be no different. It was not as stiff as when Wu Yu heard Chu Fenjiao speak before. He did not think much for the time being. Together with Nanshan Wanjiao, he followed Chuyin and walked into the Le emperor's mansion. Passing through the huge square, the main hall of the Le emperor's mansion was in front of him. The door of the main hall had just opened at this time, and 4 people appeared in front of Wu Yu. The leader was naturally the Le emperor's son. There were 3 people beside him, namely Chuyin's son Xuanhuan, daughter Chu Fenjiao, and Bailey Xuanhuan, the son of a mansion owner of the ancient Yanhuan country. These 4 people actually appeared at the same time. When Wu Yu saw them for the first time, he remembered the appearance of their corpses in the mausoleum. Now these people were all standing in front of him alive. Even with his eyes, he could not tell the difference between them and before. He mainly stared at Le Diza. At this time, Le Diza stared at Wu Yu with a smile on his face, strode towards him, and said as he walked, "Wu Yu, it's been a long time since we parted at the ancient immortal road. I didn't expect that you could reach such a level, and I didn't expect that you could get the ancient emperor's decree from my father and become my imperial envoy. It's all fate." From his expression, movements, and tone, he was indeed no different from when he was at the ancient immortal road. Of course, he was high above, and his attitude might be a little colder and more domineering, but this was only a matter of attitude towards Wu Yu, not a change in Le Daizi himself. At least at first sight, coupled with his fiery eyes, Wu Yu discovered that this was indeed Emperor Yu himself, without any signs of being controlled. Looking at Xuanhuan again, he was almost the same as in the ancient immortal road, with a serious expression, a sharp gaze, few words, and very majestic. And Xuanhuan was still smart and lively, with many tricks in his mind, and then look at Chu Fenjiao, who was playful and willful, and flirted with Xuanhuan. At this time, they were vivid, but the problem was that Wu Yu remembered that Chu Fenjiao was very cold before. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 835. In short, the four of them now are no different from when they were in the ancient immortal road. The only change is that, perhaps because Wu Yu's strength has greatly improved, they no longer look down on Wu Yu as before. Especially Emperor Le, because he has the relationship with the Emperor's envoy, he is very happy and feels eager to seek talents. After Chuyan sent Wu Yu here, he said goodbye to Emperor Le first. Emperor Le did not keep him, but only said to Chuyan, "The ceremony of enthroning the Emperor's son has many details. I hope you can explain the details to Wu Yu in the next few days, so that there will be no mistakes and make a joke. Don't worry, this is my big deal, of course I will be ready." In this way, Chuyan left with peace of mind. Before leaving, he also told Xuanhuan and Chu Fenjiao to serve Emperor Le well. His two children have a good relationship with Emperor Le, and it is obvious that he will stand on the side of Emperor Le in the future. Now the Yanhuang ancient emperor is free and easy in the immortal world. He is not seen at all on weekdays. He is like an immortal in this world of Yanfu. It is estimated that in a short time, a new Yanhuang emperor may be elected from among the emperor's sons. Now the people in power in the ancient country of Yanhuang are several younger brothers of the Yanhuang ancient emperor. They take turns to be regents and handle the affairs of the ancient country of Yanhuang. The Yanhuang ancient emperor is too terrible. Even if they can become regents, they have to be conscientious and there is no possibility of any rebound. No one can go against the immortal. After Chuyan left, the emperor looked up and down at Wu Yu. Wu Yu bowed and said, "The matter of the ancient immortal road is now over." Wu Yu is also very happy that the emperor's son can escape the disaster. "Now that I have received the imperial edict of the ancient emperor and come to the ancient country of Yanhuang, I will naturally follow the emperor's son in the future." These words still need to be made clear. Of course, following is following, he can't completely become the follower of the emperor's son, nor can he be controlled by the emperor's son. Moreover, he still had deep doubts about Le Daizi, but he just didn't want to show it. Judging from the current situation, Le Daizi's realm has been raised to the 8th level of the Yuanshen realm. At this age, it is estimated that no one in the entire Yanfu world can surpass him. Xuanhuan also has the 7th level of the Yuanshen realm, and the other two are also in the 6th level of the Yuanshen realm. After coming out of the ancient immortal road, they have all made great progress, which should be regarded as a blessing in disguise. After hearing what Wu Yu said, Le Daizi was very satisfied. Wu Yu looked at the other three people. Xuanhuan was still the same, not saying much, but the look in his eyes when he looked at Wu Yu was full of challenging. Chu Fenjiao and Bai Xuanhuan were immersed in their own world. "Who is this?" At this time, Le Daizi turned his gaze to Nanshan Wanjiao. Wu Yu introduced him and said, "He is a friend I met in the Beiming Empire. He is willing to follow me and fight side by side with me to pursue the great way. Although he is a demon, he is definitely of the same mind as us. His strength and talent are not weak. His name is Nanshan Wanjiao. Judging from the current strength of Le Daizi and others, Nanshan Wanjiao is unfathomable. This is equivalent to adding a helper to him. Le Daizi is of course very happy, so he nodded and said, "Your brother is my brother. From now on, the 6 of us will live together in the ancient country of Yanhuang." He is the son of the ancient emperor Yanhuang, and Wu Yu's identity as LED's envoy is also based on him. If he is willing to help himself, it is indeed easy to do things, at least on the surface. As for the storms and undercurrents in the depths, I don't know what they are for the time being. Wu Yu felt that it would be abnormal if he showed that he didn't care about what they experienced. From a normal perspective, after introducing Nanshan Wanjiao, he directly expressed his doubts. "In that mausoleum, I saw several people being controlled by those 2 coffins. I wonder how they escaped later." After hearing Wu Yu's question, the 4 of them smiled at each other, and finally Le Daizi said, "In fact, what you saw in the ancient Immortal Road may be true, or it may not be true. After all, that place is very magical. In fact, we rarely tell others the real truth, and only tell key elders. But you were also a key figure in that incident, so we will tell you the truth." Le Daizi paused, and when Wu Yu was with a look full of curiosity, he began to say, "At first, the 4 of us thought we were doomed, but when we were between life and death, we suddenly found that we were in another place and had another experience. In that place, we couldn't use the ancient immortal talisman. We also thought that we would stay in the ancient immortal road forever. Unexpectedly, at the last moment, the ancient immortal road sent us out. As for what we gained, you can't tell it to others. Not many people know about it now. After we came out, our strength improved quickly, which was related to the gains at that time. Of course, what the specific gains were was everyone's secret, and he certainly couldn't say it out loud." This response solved Wu Yu's doubts. However, Ming Long asked, "You saw it clearly at that time, and believed what they said?" Wu Yu thought to himself, "It sounds reasonable, but Chu Fenjiao was still a little strange when Le Daizi was not present, and I did see it clearly at the time, although the ancient immortal road is indeed very wonderful. So I still believe it on the surface, but I remain skeptical in my heart." No matter how true what they said was, Wu Yu felt that he could not completely give up his doubts and vigilance. However, he did not express this attitude, but nodded and said, "Those who survived a great disaster will surely have good fortune in the future. Congratulations to everyone." Bailey Xuanhuan said, "Although we have gained a little bit, nothing can compare with you. I heard that we got first place in the Beiming battle, and we also got the Beiming Emperor's Palace, a spiritual Taoist artifact. In the ancient times, when we were on the Immortal Road, our strength was still about the same, but now you have far surpassed us. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content." When he said this, he seemed a little jealous, but it also showed his truth. Of course, Wu Yu still expressed doubts. The Emperor's son smiled and said, "Wu Yu is the envoy of the Emperor who was personally appointed by my father. From now on, he will definitely be one of our own. The more powerful he is, the greater the benefit will be to us. At least, in the future, he will be with other royal brothers and sisters. We don't have to worry about any disputes." After saying that, he patted Wu Yu on the shoulder and laughed. It does seem to be a harmonious look. Even Nanshan Wanjiao has joined in. In this group, Xuanhuan is still tough and cold, Bailey Chehan is still yin and yang, jealous of Wu Yu, Chu Fenjiao is still contemptuous and despises Wu Yu, but precisely because of this, this is reasonable. With the fusion of Emperor Zi, it is not difficult for Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao to join. After all, they are the strongest in the group. Nanshan Wanjiao joined this group as a follower of Wu Yu. He did not need to respect Xuanhuan and the others, he only needed to be the leader of the group. Of course, Wu Yu estimated that Emperor Li would not impose orders on them. If this was the case, there was no need for Wu Yu to comply. After all, he was granted the title by the ancient Emperor Yanhuang, and Emperor Li could not do anything to him. Wu Yu, there will be a canonization ceremony in 4 days. I need to make it clear to you first. After getting acquainted, we finally got down to business. Please tell me. The canonization ceremony is a big event for you and me. After the ceremony is over, we have established a connection between you and me. You are the upright envoy of the emperor, and you are announcing it to the entire Jambu world, so the scene will be more grand. Wu Yu nodded. This was a special arrangement of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Each emperor's son and daughter had only one imperial envoy quota. To be honest, it was almost like an emperor's son becoming a Taoist couple. According to the old rules, the canonization ceremony will be held at the Yanwu Gate in the divine capital. This is the busiest place in the divine capital, and it is also the broadest place where the largest number of people can gather and pay attention. Wu Yu didn't know yet, but it turned out that the canonization ceremony was not in the imperial city, but in the divine capital. In that case, there would definitely be a lot of people watching. Yanwumen seems to be the center of the divine capital. It is more convenient to visit this place from anywhere in the divine capital. At that time, the emperor's sons, daughters, high-ranking officials, ministers, and military generals will basically be present, and the regent Dishishan will also be present to preside over it personally. There is nothing else. You can just follow me and do whatever I do. The main thing is some ancestor worship rituals. There's just one thing, you need to be mentally prepared. Your Majesty, please speak. Chuyan also mentioned this matter before, and it seemed to be a troublesome matter. According to the old rules of our canonization ceremony since ancient times, after the ceremony, the emperor's envoys of other emperors' sons and daughters can challenge you. The main purpose is to let the world see what you are capable of as an emperor's envoy. Of course, this will not change the reality that you become the emperor's envoy, it is just a matter of face, and this is actually an opportunity for you to prove yourself to the people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. I didn't expect such a thing to happen. It seemed that the canonization ceremony was indeed very lively. On that day, I and Emperor Keiru were definitely the protagonists. But he had a doubt, there are so many emperors' sons, daughters, and emperors' envoys. How can I accept so many challenges by myself? Emperor Yu said, don't worry about this. If you propose a challenge, you must first get the permission of the regent. If you have not reached the realm of 3 disasters, basically the emperor will not allow the emperor to challenge you. The regent will personally select the suitable one, there may only be one battle, if you can quickly solve the opponent, maybe there will be 2. Anyway, it is probably close to your limit. Of course, if you can't bear it once, and you can't beat every challenger, then it's just the 2 of us who are embarrassed. But it doesn't really matter. Historically, it's normal for new emperors to be bullied by other emperors in turn. After all, among all the brothers and sisters who have emperors, I am the youngest and your age. Naturally, it is also the smallest among all. Friends who read books, you can search for and you will find this site immediately. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 836. Such competitions during the enthronement ceremony can indeed make the ceremony more popular and make people remember Wu Yu deeply. For a cultivator, fighting is the most exciting and magnificent thing in his cultivation career. Especially under the attention of the public, even the people of the entire Jambu world are watching. Of course, whether he will ruin his reputation or become famous and dominate the Yanhuang kingdom depends on Wu Yu himself. You have defeated Emperor Yao before. In fact, this enthronement ceremony is not a big problem for you, so there is no need to feel any pressure. Emperor Le comforted him. Wu Yu certainly did not feel any pressure. Just like what Emperor Le said, even if they were defeated in all battles, they were defeated repeatedly, because they were the youngest, so it was reasonable. However, Wu Yu never wanted to be the loser under the attention of the public. You can prepare a little in the next few days. If you need anything, you can tell me. Le Diza was very generous. At this time, it seemed that he treated Wu Yu as his own. The other three people were very jealous of his appreciation of Wu Yu. However, Wu Yu actually didn't have anything to prepare. He was ready when he was in the lava hell. The current clone is already extremely strong. The only shortcoming is that the main body is still a little weak and needs to quickly improve its realm. Wu Yu wants to make progress in the four great magical powers and also wants to practice another Taoist technique, but it is impossible to succeed in these 4 days. He and Nanshan Wanjiao returned to the Imperial Envoy Hall. Wu Yu also discussed with him about the authenticity of Le Diza. Nanshan Wanjiao also meant to maintain a certain degree of suspicion. Although it seems that the four of them and the explanation they said are no problem at all, Wu Yu still can't forget the last scene he saw. He believes in the fire eyes and golden pupils. 4 days have passed in the blink of an eye. It is estimated that the entire God City has been very lively. Many people have gathered near the Yanwu Gate to occupy a good viewing position. In the Le Emperor's mansion, early in the morning, Le Emperor summoned Wu Yu. Xuanhuan and the others had already gone back. At this time, Le Emperor looked solemn, and took Wu Yu and Nanshan Wanjiao to Yanwu Gate. However, he had to board the royal chariot near the gate of the imperial city first, and go to Yanwu Gate with other royal sons and daughters, some imperial concubines, and key figures of the royal family. Of course, Wu Yu and the others were in a separate space. The enthronement ceremony is a tradition of the Yanhuang clan since ancient times, and there are many rules. For example, before Wu Yu officially debuted today, he could not have much contact with other royal family members, so they had to board the chariot in advance. Before dawn, Wu Yu followed Le Diza to the gate of the imperial city, where a magnificent chariot pulled by several rare and precious beasts was parked. The chariot was very huge, like a palace, magnificent and golden. The rare and precious beasts were actually a kind of god of all things, a bit similar to the fire source crystal beast of the ancient fairy road, like the Kailan fairy beast, with golden flames all over its body, majestic and awe-inspiring, and its name seemed to be the Yanwu dragon beast. This chariot pulled by the Yanwu dragon beast is called the Yanwu dragon carriage. There are many defensive arrays on the Yanwu dragon carriage. It is said that people in the Yanwu dragon carriage cannot be hurt at all unless they reach the 3 disasters asking realm. Wu Yu and Le Diza boarded the Yanwu dragon carriage first and entered the space in the corner, separated from other spaces. Wait here until it is close to noon, and then we will set off. There was no one to receive them inside, so they could only wait silently. It will be a big scene soon, but Wu Yu is also used to these big scenes, so his mood is not fluctuating. Before long, other people should have boarded the chariot one after another. There were about hundreds of people, basically all of them were from the Yanhuang royal family. At this time, the Yanwu dragon car started to start, passing through the gate of the imperial city and heading towards the Yanwu gate. With the speed of these Yanwu dragon beasts, it would not take much time to get from here to the Yanwu gate, and they basically arrived as soon as they started. However, this time the royal family appeared, although in the Yanwu dragon car, they could still hear the overwhelming movement outside. The Yanhuang royal family, and even the entire Yanfu world, were the most supreme group of people. Even in the capital of the gods, basically everyone was either rich or noble, and everyone was either a strong man or a genius. When they saw so many Yanhuang royal family members, they were still extremely excited. The loudest cheers came into the Yanwu dragon car, causing a vibration, and even the Yanwu dragon beast was frightened and roared threateningly, but it attracted the laughter of everyone. First, there was the enthronement ceremony, accompanied by ancestor worship, etc., and then there would be challenges. The Yanhuang royal family outside began to go out, and then waited for noon to arrive. Wu Yu and the others were still waiting inside. At this time, near the Yanwu gate, whether on the ground or in the sky, there were people everywhere. In a place like the Yanhuang divine capital, it is rare to see such a crowded situation as now. When the Yanhuang royal family got off the Yanwu dragon car one by one, their status became higher and higher, and people were also shocked. They began to hold their breath and stopped cheering. In addition to the royal family, there were many princes and ministers present. Although many of them were not Yanhuang royal family, their status and position were comparable to the top people, such as the prime minister of the Yanhuang dynasty. The people outside began to prepare to speak and announce, and the venue had been arranged long ago. Now, the most core person here is of course the current regent, Deshatien. Now, although there are many people outside, it is silent. Only one person's voice is echoing. Because it is isolated by the Yanwu dragon car, it is not particularly clear, but the majesty is still deeply shocking, penetrating into the Yanwu dragon car, making everyone feel awed. This chapter is not over yet, please click on the next page to continue reading. This is my uncle's current regent, Emperor Shishan. When talking about this person, Le Dai's face still has some awe, which means that the person who is in charge of the entire Yanhuang ancient country's political affairs is a person with enough strength and majesty, and is also the person who dominates the Yanhuang ancient country. After a while, it was officially noon. Wu Yu heard someone outside announcing that he and Le Dai should come out. As for Nanshan Wanjiao, he just needs to follow behind. After going out, he will find a place to stay. Emperor Le nodded to Wu Yu, and the two walked out of the Yanwu dragon car one after the other. When Wu Yu got off the car door, he felt like he had just returned to the time when the Northern Ming battle for hegemony came out. Everyone's eyes were on him, which really brought him great pressure. He looked around and saw that there were indeed a large number of people near the Yanwu gate. All the Yanhuang people, regardless of gender, age, were watching him. Some were curious, some were jealous, some were in awe, and some were contemptuous. The people closest to Wu Yu should be the Yanhuang royal family or various princes and ministers. In front of him, there was a huge platform with a red carpet on it, and a golden dragon was embroidered on the carpet. At the end of the platform, there was a huge altar with hundreds of gods on it. Each one was very sacred. Even if it was just a god, there was a sense of righteousness that made people dare not look directly at it. These should be the emperors of the ancient Yanhuang country, who were once famous figures in the history. The moment of coming out was almost suffocating. Wu Yu was used to this kind of world, so his mood was relatively stable. The Le Emperor's performance was worse than his. After all, he did not look around freely like Wu Yu, but kept staring at the hundreds of people in front of him. With a solemn expression, he took Wu Yu up the steps and approached the gods step by step. Le Emperor and Le Emperor's envoy, ascend the eternal altar. This voice was mighty and resounded throughout the entire god's capital. This was an order. Le Emperor was also familiar with the route. He took Wu Yu directly up the steps. The steps were very wide. There were many people standing on both sides of each step. These were all members of the Yanhuang royal family, most of whom were emperors and their envoys. Most of these emperors and their daughters were older than Le Emperor and had profound cultivation. In terms of divine temperament, they were all similar to Le Emperor, and even surpassed him. Among them, there were many who were old enough to reach the three disasters Dao realm. After all, the oldest emperor was said to have cultivated for 200 or 300 years. When he was born, the Yanhuang ancient emperor was not so terrible. These people are all the super elites of the entire Yanhuang ancient country. Every emperor's son and daughter are legendary figures. It is indeed a little uncomfortable to have so many people looking at him so close. Among them, Wu Yu also saw Emperor Yao, his defeated general. From this point of view, there are indeed many emperors and daughters of the Yanhuang ancient emperor. Wu Yu walked over hundreds of steps. Some young people around him who looked at him with various attitudes were basically descendants of the Yanhuang ancient emperor, and some were even the grandchildren of the Yanhuang ancient emperor. A little further away on both sides of the steps, there are also prime ministers, Taiwei, Taifu, Yishidafu, Dasikan, Taikang, Taipu, Tingwei, Zhaijianwu and other ministers. These ministers are in charge of various powers of the entire Yanhuang ancient country and maintain the operation of the Yanhuang ancient country. There are also many high-ranking princes sitting in the distance. These old men are all extremely powerful and are close to becoming immortals. They are particularly similar to the disaster ancestors of the Beiming Empire. In addition, there were the commanders of the 5 major armies stationed in the capital, as well as dozens of Tianlong generals, and a large number of Yanlong generals, Huanglong generals, etc., who were maintaining order around. Some of the imperial concubines of the Yanhuang ancient emperor sat in the gorgeous fairy sedan chair and did not really show their faces. Finally, Wu Yu came to the altar, where stood a middle-aged man in a golden and black robe. This man was terrifyingly strong and could be said to be the strongest person in the whole venue. Of course, Wu Yu's shock was unprecedented. He had black hair and golden eyes, and the rune between his eyebrows was extremely shining, which was a Sha character. That person should be the current regent, Emperor Shishan. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 837. This man has very sharp eyes and a hooked nose. He looks like an eagle. When his eyes fall on Wu Yu, you will feel as if he is being penetrated by him. R. A. N. N. R. A. N. E. N. O. R. G. Nowadays, the ancient Emperor Yanhuang does not care about all the affairs of the ancient Yanhuang kingdom. Although the ancient Emperor Yanhuang is intimidating him, this person can be regarded as the most powerful person in the entire Yanfu world, and Emperor Le also said that Dishishan is the most powerful person in the ancient Yanhuang kingdom. One of the few people most likely to become an immortal, he is not particularly old, only about 30 years older than the eldest emperor's son. There are still at least 200 years until the end of life and death. These 200 years are enough for him. He became an immortal, as long as he could survive the 3 disasters and the great catastrophe of immortality. In this way, the regent is even very close to the person Wu Yu is aiming for. As long as this kind of person does not exclude himself, then he is worthy of respect. The regent in front of him seems to have no need to exclude himself, because after all, he was personally appointed by the ancient Emperor Yanhuang. Le Daizi has told me that from now on, just do it with him. Now you can do whatever I say. When the 2 of them stood in front of the altar, the regent stared at the 2 of them, and then announced to the world, Dongsheng Shenzhou, Wu Yu, a native of Yanhuang Emperor's city, today, by the imperial edict of Yanhuang ancient emperor, canonize you as the Le Emperor Envoy. From now on, I will assist Emperor Le in his journey of cultivating immortality with unwavering loyalty. If you have any second thoughts, you will be severely punished by the Yanhuang kingdom. At this juncture, Wu Yu of course said, no. Now that it was announced in public, the matter was done. Then the regent asked some more questions. Wu Yu and Le Daizi answered according to the routine. In fact, it was just a formality. Send incense to worship your ancestors. From now on, you will be a member of my Yanhuang royal family. Under the order of the regent, Wu Yu and Le Daizi burned incense one after another, paid homage to the ancestors of the Yanhuang tribe, and listened to the regent's teachings. After about half an hour, the entire canonization ceremony ended. The regent announced that the moment it ended, people cheered and shouted the names of Le Emperor's son and Le Emperor's envoy. The Emperor's envoy represents the person who assists the Emperor's son or daughter. He is independent from the Taoist companions, but can play a huge role in the common progress of the Emperor's son's monastic career. Many Emperor's sons basically regard their Emperor's envoys as brothers in life and death. However, what comes next is the real highlight for the onlookers. There is no suspense in the canonization ceremony, so it is not lively at all. The liveliest thing should be the battle between immortals and geniuses. There was an extremely fierce struggle between emperors and envoys. When it was inconvenient for the emperor's sons and daughters to take action, the emperor's envoys would fight. Once a certain emperor's son became the Yanhuang emperor in the future, his emperor's envoys would his status will also rise, and he can basically become the prime minister of the day, inferior to one person and superior to hundreds of millions of people. For example, the gentle and elegant old man not far away was actually the envoy of the ancient emperor Yanhuang. However, later the ancient emperor Yanhuang far surpassed the envoy, and the envoy could not keep up with him, but at least he held the position of prime minister. Is indispensable. But he was an important minister in charge of the world affairs of the entire Yanhuang ancient kingdom. That's why today's fierce battle between emperors and envoys is so eye-catching. When he saw that people were about to move, the regent first said in a deep voice, "The next step is the old rules, bustling and bustling. In our Yanhuang ancient country, there are too many emperors and envoys now, and the Le emperor envoys are too busy, so we will make a limit. Those who are above the 3 catastrophe realm cannot go out to fight. The rest of the group can go out if they want to challenge. In fact, most of the current emperor's envoys are above the 3 catastrophes Dao realm and are still in the Yuanshen transformation realm. It is estimated that there are less than 10, and they are basically at the 10th level of the Yuanshen transformation realm. People were a little disappointed when they heard that they could not challenge the 3 disasters above the Taoist realm. After all, they felt that this was the only way to completely suppress Wu Yu. It seems that the regent is also trying to save some face for Emperor Le. If he can reach the realm of the 3 disasters, then Wu Yu will be in dire straits. Of course, the regent cannot let him be seriously injured just after he became the envoy of the music emperor. After all, this was the title granted by the ancient emperor Yanhuang himself. Actually, it would be exciting if the 3 calamities Dao realm is not in the realm. After all, he is quite powerful. Wu Yu defeated Emperor Yao and Yu Chenyu of the Flame Dragon Legion. But even if he wins, he is the protagonist today, and others he may continue to challenge him until he is defeated. Today the other emperors just want to use all his methods. As a result, the atmosphere in Yanwu sect became extremely intense. Everyone was scrambling to look inside, wanting to see who the emperor's sons and daughters were, and whether they wanted to give Emperor Le some face. Generally speaking, the more unsociable the emperor's son was, the more unsociable he was. The more jealous he is, the more miserable his imperial envoy will be defeated today. When the regent had just finished speaking, except for the imperial envoys who had arrived at the 3 disasters realm, there were about 8 people left. At this time, they all stood up. Although these people were not from the royal family, they came from all over the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. But everyone has different legends, many adventures, and even been passed down by ancient monks. But they have one thing in common, that is, their talents and futures are at the same level as all the sons and daughters of emperors. Some are even more talented than the emperor's sons and daughters they assist. This is why they can become emperor's envoys, which is equivalent to joining the Yanhuang royal family. All the talented people were collected by the royal family in this way and gathered under the banner of the Yanhuang royal family to strengthen the rule of the royal family. This is probably the reason why the ancestors of the royal family established emperor envoys. There were only so many imperial envoys who had not reached the realm of the three disasters. At this time, they all came out to challenge. This shows the specialness of Wu Yu and Le Diza. After seeing such a scene, Le Diza's face became a little pale. Taiyuking, only Wu Yu didn't care after seeing them. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Even these are all shocking talents. None are over 100 years old. Reporting to the Prince Regent, we are willing to challenge Le Dishi and learn his clever tricks, so that Le Dishi can have a chance to show his strength to the world. Among the 8 people, 3 women and 5 men were the envoys of 3 emperor daughters and 5 emperor sons respectively. All 8 of them are willing to fight Wu Yu. But obviously, only one can fight at a time, and if Wu Yu hadn't crushed his opponent so hard and wasn't injured at all after the battle, basically, the canonization ceremony would be over after one battle. The appearance of 8 people is quite eye-catching. Now people want to know the biggest suspense is who will be the one to fight. This decision rests with the Prince Regent. So everyone looked at the Regent nervously. At this time, the Regent's eyes swept across the 8 people, and finally settled on a woman in the middle, saying, "I heard that Emperor Ying's consort, having been defeated at the hands of Emperor Li, what do you think of giving Emperor Ying an opportunity to avenge his humiliation? This means, let Emperor Ying's envoys go into battle. Such a choice can indeed make this battle more intense, after all, it is related to the shame ahead." Wu Yu glanced at the Emperor Ying envoy, but he didn't expect the regent to choose a delicate and lovely woman for him. This woman is very special. In the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, she should not be from the Yanhuang tribe, because she has long light pink hair and pink eyes. The color of her long hair and eyes alone makes her look very youthful. She is so cute and touching, and this woman also has a very cute face, with big and shining eyes, curled eyelashes, a pink mouth, and a rosy face that makes people want to kiss it. This face looks like she looks like a little girl, but under that white dress, she has a graceful figure, which is already very mature and full of charm, like a ripe peach, full of temptation. Behind her is the Emperor Ying's daughter. She has a serious expression, a gorgeous and majestic appearance, and is slightly similar to Le Emperor. She has black hair and golden eyes. The Emperor's daughter stands in front of her, like a delicate, lovely, lively, and moving person. As sister is completely unlike the imperial envoy who protects her. When she heard that she was the first one to fight, Emperor Ying was still a little stunned. She pointed at herself blankly, then turned back to look at Emperor Ying's daughter. After receiving a positive answer, she nodded head. Well, I'm so lucky, all 8 people can choose me. It sounds like she doesn't want to fight, but Emperor Ying's daughter insists on her challenging Wu Yu. With such an opponent, Wu Yu originally thought that everyone would burst into laughter. He himself also felt that he was going to fight a little girl, which would be a bit bullying. But in fact, on the contrary, everyone was very solemn and even looked at Wu Yu with a little pity. They were also whispering, and could be vaguely heard. They said that they were quite pitiful. They met such a witch. They would definitely be embarrassed in the first battle. Later, if the loser was Taiyuking Regent, they would not arrange it again. Fight, after all, there is no point in fighting after being severely injured. Only then did Wu Yu realize that this cute little sister was not as simple as he thought. Moreover, the other party should have been practicing Taoism for many more years than him, and she was not a little sister. And later, even Le Diza frowned. Actually, this guy is not from our Yanhuang tribe, let alone from our Yanhuang ancient kingdom. She should be from the Izumo kingdom, but she grew up in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. Because of her outstanding talent, that's why I became an imperial envoy. If she wasn't an absolute genius, Yanhuang ancient kingdom would certainly not keep her and worry about her returning to Izumo kingdom. However, Izumo country seems to be a ghost cultivator, but this Emperor Ying is not a ghost cultivator. This should have something to do with her growing up in the ancient Yanhuang kingdom. No matter what, Wu Yu still didn't have any mood swings. As long as he was not in the realm of the three disasters, he was now more than 99% sure. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 838. It is the void battlefield again. This time, however, it is the void battlefield controlled by the regent King Dishishan. His void battlefield is probably of the upper spiritual Dao weapon level, which can be used as a battlefield, and can even imprison people in it. For example, Nanshan Wanjiao, Tianshen Body, etc. Wrapped in the void battlefield of the Regent King, Tianshen Body, and the like still find it difficult to tear the upper spiritual Dao weapon and escape. This is the difference between Tianshen Body and the main body. In terms of swallowing and fighting, Tianshen Body may be stronger at present, but the main body's magical powers are ever changing, and there are 72 changes, which is indeed more wonderful. At this time, Wu Yu and the Emperor Ying were surrounded in the void battlefield, which was a transparent light film with an irregular shape. It would expand to the side that was attacked. A young, passionate, arrogant young man, and an equally young, lovely, and sexy woman. It looks like this will be a fragrant battle. Of course, those who think this way are basically people who don't know the truth. Those who know a little about Emperor Envoy Ying know that she hides a fierce killing power under her cute appearance. At this moment, it is indeed the focus of everyone's attention. The attention of the entire divine capital, the entire Yanhuang divine capital, is here, on the two of them. People are very excited. This Emperor Envoy Le was very arrogant in the Beiming Empire. When he came to Yanhuang, he defeated Emperor Yao and Yuchaniu in a high-profile manner. He looked invincible and very impressive, but the rules of our enthronement ceremony have always been to let all new Emperor Envoys suffer and lose people first. Now that Emperor Envoy Ying has come out, this matter is almost certain. I guess there is no need to look for the other 7. If it weren't for the regent's restriction that only those below the 3 disasters asking realm can challenge, it would probably be more interesting. The Yanhuang people are discussing everywhere. Now is the most heated time. All the princes and princesses, the nobles and ministers, and the Yanhuang people were looking at Wu Yu and Emperor Ying, who were staring at each other in the void battlefield, with passionate eyes. Most of them had cold smiles on their faces, waiting for Wu Yu to make a fool of himself for the first time. After all, to the Yanhuang people who considered themselves noble, Wu Yu was still an outsider from a desolate land, and the key was that he was very arrogant. However, Wu Yu didn't care about their words and looks now. His attention was all on the Emperor Ying. The Emperor Ying looked very delicate. She circled around Wu Yu with interest, jumping and sizing him up and down. She said, "If you are defeated by me, don't cry." Wu Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and said, "Don't worry, there will always be winners and losers in a fight." The other party pouted and said, "It's different. When I hit someone, it hurts. Many men cry and beg for mercy. You won't be like that too, will you?" Wu Yu smiled slightly. He didn't answer the other party at first. A black mist rolled out of his body and transformed into a swallowing body with white hair and blood eyes around him. The swallowing body looked exactly the same as the original body, but was wearing a white robe, blood eyes, and white hair, and was strange and cold, with a hint of smile. It was very strange, as if it was a completely different person from Wu Yu. But in fact, these are Wu Yu's 2 bodies, just like his left and right hands, but the right hand is separated from the body and not attached to the body. Your opponent is him, he is not afraid of pain, you can use it as much as you want. Wu Yu smiled and retreated to the back, and even when he retreated to the battlefield of nothingness, he was stretched very far. He stood with his hands behind his back in the distance. At the same time, the body of the devouring heaven took out the Beiming Emperor K from the Sumuru bag. When the Beiming Emperor K appeared, People who were familiar with the Beiming Emperor K couldn't help but exclaimed. They knew that Wu Yu's Beiming Emperor K was obtained by him from the Beiming Empire in a fair and square manner. This is the top-level upper spiritual weapon. The Emperor of Minghai used it before and wanted to pass it on to his son, but it unexpectedly fell into Wu Yu's hands. The Beiming Emperor K is indeed extraordinary, really enviable. This is a discussion between several emperors, most of whom are over 100 years old. However, his clone, which is more unique than his original body, is the most important thing. Does anyone know what's going on with his clone? The one who spoke was the daughter of Emperor Ying. Because Emperor Ying challenged Wu Yu, she was more nervous than others. This time, Yu Chinayu had not returned yet, and she was the only one here. No one knows. It is said that Wu Yu's clone appeared at the beginning of the North Sea battle. Emperor Yao was defeated by this clone last time. At this time, everyone's eyes fell on him. He shook his head and said, "Who knows what's going on?" As soon as the words fell, in the void battlefield that everyone was watching, the Emperor Ying was very curious about Wu Yu's clone. At this time, she was ready to take action. Wu Yu was surprised to find that the Emperor Ying's state was really different from his state when he was in action. He immediately showed his murderous aura, especially his originally pink eyes. The color of his pupils did not change, but the whites of his eyes suddenly had bloodshot veins as dense as tree roots. The Emperor Ying suddenly looked like a ghost from hell. He was indeed a bloodline from the Izumo kingdom. When he started to fight, at least the brutal nature of his bloodline was revealed. When the Emperor Ying activated his purple palace Yuanli, for a moment, the diffused mana condensed into cherry blossom petals in the battlefield of nothingness, and scattered around. From Wu Yu's perspective, the whole world suddenly turned into a beautiful world of falling cherry blossoms. Among the cherry blossoms, the Emperor Ying, wearing a long skirt embroidered with petals, danced with the wind like a jumping elf. This picture was indeed very beautiful. Her lovely face and exquisite figure, every frown and smile, every move, can make people fall in love with her invisibly. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. But from the perspective of the devouring heaven body, no matter how charming a woman is, he has the desire to turn her into a corpse and then devour her. It's just like facing food. Especially after the level of his soul surpasses that of his body, this kind of desire will be particularly strong, and even affect Wu Yu's body to a certain extent. It is precisely because of this that Wu Yu constantly reminds himself that he must not let the level of his clone's soul surpass that of his body, otherwise both will lose their minds and become the devouring demon ancestor, the devouring devil. But even now, the killing intention of the devouring body will be stronger, and the grip on the North Ming Emperor K will be tighter. At this time, Emperor Ying also showed his extraordinary means. Under the falling cherry blossoms, two Taoist weapons appeared in her hands, one white and one blood red. The white one is a sword, like a gem, white jade, pure white, as pure and smooth as milk, like milk condensed into solid milk, but only in the very center of the blade can a very small bloodline be seen. The blood red one was a knife, held in his right hand. Unlike the pure white long sword, the blood red blade was bloody and fierce, more like a ghost cultivation weapon, as if it was condensed from a sea of blood. The murderous aura was soaring into the sky, and bursts of blood mist emerged. Indistinctly, there was a shrill cry from it. These two are both spiritual weapons. At the beginning, Emperor Le did not have any spiritual weapons, but Emperor Ying had two. It seems that Emperor Ying treated her very well, at least it seemed that he treated Yu Chinayu better. Left hand, Tian Muzuo Cloud Blade, right hand, Bloodthirsty Demon Sword. Can I take your life with these two? Emperor Ying had a huge change when she took action. Now she only had a cute face and a hot body, but she was very fierce. No wonder she was called a witch. Wu Yu responded to her with Beiming Emperor K. This was the first battle. What he wanted was not to fight with the opponent, but to solve the opponent with the fastest speed and the most fierce means. Even, he did not give the opponent many opportunities to attack. If you want to see who is more fierce. Tianmu Zanjiun Storm Killing Formation. The long skirt of the Emperor Ying fluttered, and she first attacked with her left hand. In the surging wind, her long skirt floated away, revealing a large area of snow-white jade skin, which was a feast for the eyes of the onlookers. They rushed to stare at it, but soon, this beautiful scene was swallowed up by the attack of the Emperor Ying. The magic formation of the upper spiritual weapon Tianmu Zanjiun blade was running and bursting, with amazing power. For a time, the storm swept, and when the sword came, a vast tornado storm was set off out of thin air, and it was pure white. Only by looking carefully can you see that this tornado storm is composed of dense sword shadows, covering the sky and the earth, and instantly expanding the void battlefield 10 times. The film of the void battlefield has already stuck to most people. They will not be hurt, but they can watch the battle in person, which feels really good. The advantage of the void battlefield is this. Two people can fight to their heart's content and will never affect everyone or things around them. Now, the opponent's first sword, the Sky Cloud Storm Killing Formation, gave Wu Yu a warning. Emperor Ying used a magic circle to win people's recognition and offer her. In a blink of an eye, Wu Yu was engulfed by the Storm Killing Formation. However, in the lava hell, Wu Yu had even engulfed and transformed the attacks of the Ghost Formation guest, not to mention now, when the storm swept over, his body that could swallow the sky suddenly turned into black smoke, instantly dissipated, and turned into a huge vortex. The vortex spun wildly, like a big mouth, directly engulfing the sword blade storm that swept over. During the operation, there was a moment when the black vortex was filled with sword energy and turned white, but soon, the white sword energy was forcibly transformed into black. What this is? With such a scene, people were shocked, looking at this incredible thing. At present, the attack made by Emperor Ying seemed to have no effect on Wu Yu, and the magic circle of the Sky Cloud blade seemed to be controlled by Wu Yu. The confident envoy Ying also felt something was wrong. She slightly opened her cherry lips, eyes showing surprise, and murmured softly, "What is going on here?" Sure enough, a spiritual weapon can't deal with him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 839. The Bloodthirsty Sky Diagram Array. Remember the domain name of this website, Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. When he realized that Kong Yunren seemed to be unable to completely suppress Wu Yu that day, Emperor Ying made an immediate decision under the spotlight, and exploded the bloodthirsty demon sword in his right hand. He used a completely different attack formation from that of Kong Yunren that day. Under the indoctrination, it starts to work. The blood-red light spread and exploded like a sea of blood. Under the Ying Emperor's strike, countless magic circles rotated and transformed into a long blood-red snake, rushing towards the black whirlpool. At this moment, the violent storm was completely swallowed up by the black vortex. At this moment, people screamed in surprise, because they saw with their own eyes that when the black vortex rotated in the opposite direction, the sky that had been swallowed up before was completely swallowed up. The Kongyun storm killing formation completely reappeared, but this time it was controlled by Wu Yu and attacked Emperor Ying. This is simply like Emperor Ying's sword becoming Wu Yu's sword. And it's still effortless. Amidst the noise of the crowd, two magic formations originally belonging to the Ying Emperor envoy were directly confronting each other in the void battlefield. There was no difference between the two formations, and their strength was almost the same. Therefore, during this collision, the explosion, a devastating impact, filled the entire void battlefield. Neither of the two formations really had the upper hand. This was basically equivalent to Emperor Ying trying his best to mobilize the two formations, but not even a hair on Wu Yu was hurt. The most important thing is, what Wu Yu hid behind the Kanjiun storm killing formation that day was Beiming Emperor K, who had transformed into a long whip. Wu Yu activated his Beiming Sanctuary Dragon formation. For a moment, the coldness exploded, mixed in the storm. When the storm was impacting the bloodthirsty demon sword, the dragon formation of the northern Ming sanctuary evolved into a black divine dragon, with bone spurs all over its body, and the coldness was biting. This deeply hidden dragon of the Beiming sanctuary penetrated the melee between the two formations, and struck Na Ying Emperor Daughter on her body without any precautions. Suddenly, Ying Emperor Daughter screamed in pain, and a large amount of blood formed on her body. The dark symbols, those cold symbols, were all filled with cold air. When the cold air swept through, it directly froze Emperor Ying's daughter in a piece of ice, making her unable to move. At this moment, the power of Emperor Ying's two attacking formations suddenly shattered. Most people only saw that during this process, a terrible cold air seemed to be released. Such cold air made the Yanhuang tribe very uncomfortable, but in the blink of an eye, the cold air subsided and everything disappeared. Only an ice sculpture appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The ice sculpture was black and transparent. Through the ice, you could see a beautiful woman who was alluring. Her pink long skirt and long skirt were dancing together. She, the beauty, is fixed here because it is completely unable to move. On the other side, two Wuye stood with their hands behind their backs, and even Beiming Emperor K had already packed up. This undoubtedly meant that he thought he had won this battle. This contrast is still very strong. At this moment, in front of Yan Wumen, the huge square was silent. People didn't believe their eyes. After a few more glances, they found that this was the truth. Sister Yinghuang, I'm sorry, the Emperor's envoy is slightly better. Wu Yu, why don't you let the Emperor's envoy go? Such a beauty, are you willing to hurt her? The first one to speak was the one who had been very quiet before. Emperor Yu, now that he saw the winner, he quickly smiled and said, everyone could know his satisfaction and pride. Of course I'm reluctant to give up after Wu Yu responded, the ice on Emperor Ying's body, as well as the symbols planted by Emperor Beiming on her body, disappeared under Wu Yu's control. At first, Emperor Ying's daughter had not moved yet. After a while, her cold body seemed to have regained some consciousness. He looked around in a daze, and then fell straight down. He had no strength to stay in the air. Call. Wu Yu hugged the little beauty from below. What people saw was that under the sun, the pink hair of Emperor Ying in Wu Yu's arms was flying, and there were cherry blossoms falling from the sky. It was indeed beautiful. Here, how do these breasts feel when you pinch them? Mingtong drooled and asked curiously. Try it yourself. At this time, the regent put away the battlefield of nothingness with an expressionless face. Under the attention and envy of everyone, Wu Yu carried the still confused Emperor Ying off the altar. As a result, as soon as the battlefield of nothingness was lifted, a woman stood up very angry. In front of Wu Yu, he raised his hand to attack Wu Yu and said angrily, let her go. It turned out to be the Emperor Ying's daughter. She was nervous, and her eyes were burning when she looked at Wu Yu. It was as if Wu Yu had defiled her most beloved thing. Wu Yu then quickly threw the Emperor Ying's daughter, who was shivering from the cold, to the reason why she hugged her was because Beiming Emperor froze the girl so hard that all her flesh and blood were bruised. Wu Yu used the burning heat of his own indestructible body to melt the ice for her. Just now she felt the burning heat on Wu Yu's body, so Emperor Ying hugged her tightly. Now she is feeling better and has regained her consciousness. Emperor Ying's daughter quickly caught Emperor Ying's envoy, and the two hugged each other tightly in front of the public, as if they were Taoist couples and euthanasia was superfluous. In the meantime, Emperor Ying's daughter looked at Wu Yu fiercely. He said, today's affairs are definitely not over yet. Just wait and see. The envoy of Emperor Ying was frightened by Wu Yu, and now he was pitifully hiding in the arms of Emperor Ying's daughter, looking at Wu Yu with a complicated expression. Maybe she felt that Emperor Ying's daughter was not as warm as Wu Yu. Emperor Ying petitioned the regent to leave first. After all, the official ceremony was over. The regent ignored her, so she left in anger. This battle is over now. People realized that many people were still conquered by Wu Yu. At this time, there were also some cheers in the crowd. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. But more people are embarrassed. However, is this the end of the canonization ceremony? At least Wu Yu felt that after watching the previous battle, it ended so quickly without seeing anything clearly, they must not have been satisfied. Therefore, he felt that it did not end so quickly. After all, they had not seen the result they expected, that is, I was pushed to the extreme. Sure enough, the regent asked everyone, I didn't expect that the emperor was so brave. It really exceeded our expectations. Did you enjoy watching this battle? Do you think it is necessary to continue? As soon as the regent finished speaking, people said one after another, continue, you must continue. Of course we want to see where the limits of the imperial envoy are, said a minister from the divine capital. Continue, Wu Yu won the first place in the Beiming hegemony, and he must have improved now, Chuyan said from the side of the Yanlong Legion. Basically, the emperor's sons, daughters, princes, ministers, and generals of the major armies all support the continuation. People want to continue to watch the fun. The more capable Wu Yu is, the more interested they are. The abilities of the envoy who was consecrated by the ancient emperor himself are beyond our expectations. Everyone, please wait and see. In the end, even the old prime minister, who had been closing his eyes, expressed his opinion. So, who will come next? Let me see, there are 7 challengers. Emperor Yu, Emperor Chen, Emperor Sheng. These 7 are all at the 10th level of the Yuan Shen realm, and their strength is similar to that of the Ying Emperor Envoy, or even slightly worse than the Ying Emperor Envoy. If we come one by one, there seems to be no suspense. Since Wu Yu is so powerful and has a clone, why not let the 2 of them come together? At this time, one of the emperor's sons said. The emperor's son was slightly older and about the same strength. They are the strongest among the emperor's sons. Of course Wu Yu didn't know so many people. When he proposed that the 2 imperial envoys should go together, people cheered and supported such a decision. For them, this was interesting. After all, Wu Yu's true body had not even gone into battle yet. Only Emperor Yu said, no, this is not fair. There has been no such rule since ancient times. How can Wu Yu deal with 2 imperial envoys? The regent looked around, and of course there were still many people who supported the 2 of them fighting Wu Yu together, so he made a decision, nodded and said, then the envoys of Emperor Xuanhuan and Emperor Chen will come together. In this way, there will be a little suspense. After receiving such recognition, people were excited. They must be looking forward to the next battle even more. There is a big difference between 1 imperial envoy and 2 imperial envoys. Although Wu Yu has a true body, most people know that his true body is not as powerful as his clone and does not have much effect. People looked at Wu Yu with a little pity. They knew that it seemed that the regent wanted to see his background today. It is estimated that as long as Wu Yu reaches his limit, he will not stop. To challenge 2 imperial envoys is really. When people pitted Wu Yu actually felt nothing at all. He looked at the 2 imperial envoys who were going to fight. Their eyes were very hot, and they wanted to defeat him and show off their power, and they were full of provocation. The regent did not give Wu Yu the right to refuse. He was preparing for the battlefield of nothingness. Unexpectedly, under the attention of everyone, Wu Yu suddenly said loudly, it's not that I look down on you 2, but their abilities really make me uninterested. Since today is going to be lively, It is also to let the people of the Yanhuang ancient kingdom brothers, sisters, and elders know Wu Yu and know me, so I don't think I need to be polite. It should be warm and enthusiastic. So I feel that these two opponents alone are not enough for me to give my best. I don't know the regent. What do you think? 2 more people, 4 in total, to fight with me. 4. That's equal to 4 princes Yuji, 4 princes Yao, 4 Yuchinayu, and 4 daughters Ying. 4 and 2, the concepts are completely different again. When Wu Yu finished saying this, there was silence all around. This was beyond their expectation. When they felt pity for Wu Yu because he wanted to challenge 2 people, he upgraded his opponents to 4 people. Therefore, many people are stupid. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 840. Chapter 833 for Imperial Envoys. When Wu Yu doubled the number of the 2 opponents arranged by the regent, the sensation caused directly pushed the canonization ceremony to a new peak. The number of opponents changed from 1 to 2, and the difficulty was not twice as high as before. And the change from 2 to 4 is not 4 times the number at the beginning, but more. The meaning is completely different. Of course, Wu Yu's arrogant, scornful, and even arrogant character was vividly displayed, allowing the ascetics in the divine capital, the ancient kingdom of Yanhuang, and even the entire world of Jambu to understand such a character more clearly. He is young and energetic, arrogant, and extremely bold, which is rare in this world. He dared to ignore other emperors and envoys in front of the Yanhuang royal family, princes, ministers, and people in the world. He wanted to fight 1 against 4. Such a young man made a sensation in the world. He lost. To be ridiculed by the world and never recover is like forcing himself into a desperate situation and only looking at success or failure. This kind of character is indeed interesting. Among the onlookers, many were powerful men who had reached the realm of the 3 disasters. They were in high positions. Being able to see Wu Yu from the perspective of an elder gave him a sense of superiority. At this time, the regent had not yet agreed. On the other hand, the other imperial envoys who had just raised the challenge were all very angry when they were so slighted. Some of them had cold expressions on their faces, while others hid their feelings more deeply, but they just did not express their unhappiness and disgust. After all, those who can become imperial envoys are the proud sons of the entire ancient Yanhuang kingdom. The Yanhuang royal family cherishes their peerless talents and wants to absorb them. Unlike the Taoist companions of the emperor's sons and daughters, their Taoist companions are very particular. They are well matched, so the princess, the prince-in-law, etc. all have relatively high status. However, most of the emperor's envoys have had adventures and their status is not high. Later, they relied on hard work, luck, and talent to counterattack and become what they are today. Because of their high status, they are actually more proud in their hearts. How can they not get angry when someone tramples on their pride? Even the emperor's sons and daughters were angry. What a loud tone! I really don't take our emperor's envoy seriously. Since he is humiliating himself, I beg the regent to let him experience it as he wishes. What will happen in the end if he boasts about Haikao just for the sake of his words? Miserable. Our Yanhuang ancient country has no shortage of arrogant people, but the end is basically miserable. This person has some luck in Biming, which makes him feel complacent and does not take our Yanhuang tribe seriously. Such a young, impulsive, and brainless person cannot go very far. If you don't believe it, just wait and see. This Wu Yu is too ignorant to know that the sky is too high. Nowadays, people are noisy, a little hostile to Wu Yu, and are waiting for the regent's arrangements. The regent quickly gave the answer. He glanced at Wu Yu flatly and said, "Since you have such a request and want to make this canonization ceremony more popular so that people can better remember your performance today, then I will agree to your request. But whether this is good or bad for you is up to you." After decision agreed, people felt a fire in their hearts, and it will definitely become more interesting and intense next time. Under the people's concentration, the regent pointed at the 4 imperial envoys one after another. Of the 8 imperial envoys at the beginning, only 3 had no chance to fight. The 4 imperial envoys are indeed powerful people, and they are complementary to each other. When the regent spotted them, he also surrounded them in the battlefield of nothingness. Including Wu Yu and other 5 people, they are already within the void battlefield. The configuration of such a battle is obviously more intense, more attractive, and more popular than Wu Yu's battle with Emperor Ying's envoy. When the scene of such a confrontation appeared, people were already silent, watching the empty battlefield enthusiastically, waiting for Wu Yu and a confrontation between the other 4 imperial envoys. With such a scene, even the eyes of the emperor's son were changing. In fact, the protagonists today were originally him and Wu Yu, but now basically not many people pay attention to him as the emperor. Their attention is all on Wu Yu. On the body. 4 against 1, this is really unprecedented. The princes and ministers looked at each other. I'm curious, what else can Wu Yu do against an opponent who is so much more powerful than the Emperor Ying? When combined, the commanders of the 5 legions also gathered together to discuss. They are Emperor Zhuang, Emperor Yang, Emperor Chen, and Emperor Sheng. In addition to Emperor Xuan being a woman, the other 3 are men, and their strength, attributes, and magical changes are all different from each other. Cooperate, Wu Yu's life is in danger. While they were having a heated discussion, they saw that the 4 imperial envoys quickly dispersed and divided themselves into 4 directions, southeast, northwest, and completely surrounded Wu Yu. Basically, their faces were indifferent, and their indifference contained extreme expressions. Dissatisfaction. In the dissatisfaction, there is murderous intention. When the regent named them just now, he read their names. First of all, it was the only woman. She stood in front of Wu Yu. Compared with other Yanhuang tribe, she was also a little special. This person had white hair and blue eyes. The Ice and Snow Princess has a very cold appearance, like a mountain of ice and snow, with a bone-chilling coldness in her body. Of course, her coldness is different from Wu Yu's coldness. This person is the envoy of Emperor Xuan, and it is said that he comes from a place called the First Snow Region in the Eastern Divine Continent. It is not the Yanhuang tribe, but the Chugxiu tribe. Of course, this is one of the ancient races of the Yanhuang ancient country and a member of the Yanhuang ancient country. This emperor envoy has been smart since he was young. In the capital of the gods, his reputation is similar to that of Emperor Envoy Ying, and his strength should be about the same. There are 3 men left. The one on the left is called Emperor Envoy Chen. He is dressed in a star robe and looks handsome. There are burning flames in the stars, like a meteor that cuts through the sky. His passion is burning, and his eyes are as sharp as starlight. He looks majestic and is a dragon among men. He belongs to the Yanhuang people. Emperor Envoy Chen is not only an emperor, but also a potential dragon general of the Star Dragon Legion, one of the 5 major legions in the capital. This is his identity before he became an emperor. Behind Wu Yu is a guy called Emperor Envoy Sheng. He is a big man with short hair and an iron formation on his head. He is a typical Yanhuang people. He is hot and rolling like a sundae. All his flesh and blood are burning. Of course, at least from the outside, his temper is the worst. The last one is called Emperor Yang. He is a little more low-key, with pale eyes and a little erratic. He wears a white robe and floats in the air, like a ghost in a white robe. However, he has a very pure and sharp light on him. Under the white robe, there are many hot white flames, looming. Wu Yu did realize that these 4 emperors were not easy to deal with. But he still had the courage to do so. First, he had the fighting spirit in his heart, which was the same as that of the Monkey King. He was willing to challenge his limits, and he was enjoying a thrilling and exciting battle under the attention of the public. Second, he also wanted to end it all at once and let the ascetics in the capital of gods understand that he was not something that ordinary people could bully. In this world of cultivation, who doesn't want to become famous at a young age? So the situation of being surrounded made him hot all over. He knew that he might lose the battle, and he also knew that this battle might be extremely difficult. Of course, it didn't matter. Anyway, he would not die. As long as he didn't die, there would be a chance. Buzz. This time, Wu Yu moved faster and made a quick move. Beside him, the most eye-catching body of the devouring heaven directly exploded, forming a thick black vortex that surrounded Wu Yu. For a moment, the four people surrounded a pitch-black, extremely contemplative black ball. Wu Yu and his body were both here. Wu Yu did this to block the sight of the strong men. Although he couldn't block 100%, he could at least block most of it. In the process of blocking, he quickly summoned the skeleton flame dragon from the floating life tower. The floating life tower only showed up slightly, and no one should understand what it was. In a blink of an eye, the black ball exploded and divided into three groups. On the left was the most eye-catching body of the devouring heaven holding the beaming Emperor K. In the middle was Wu Yu's body, now holding the infinite 10,000 dragon stick in the world, and had changed into the strongest state of the law of heaven and earth. In addition to the immortal ape transformation, it was also a kind of tyrannical cultivation. Moreover, under his feet, he was stepping on the most secure somersault cloud. Finally, something new also attracted people's attention, that is, the skeleton flame dragon, the dragon with only bones, dark and strong, the dense array drawn on the bones. At this time, the skeleton flame dragon roared to the sky, and a solemn black flame appeared on his body, burning fiercely, and a pair of eyes looked for his opponent among the four emperors. Finally, Wu Yu chose Yang Emperor, so the skeleton flame dragon roared without saying a word, and rushed towards Yang Emperor in the shocked eyes of everyone. Buzz. The war broke out. Wu Yu's body looked around, and finally went to the Emperor Xuan. He wanted to entangle this Emperor Xuan. After all, Emperor Xuan and beaming Emperor K were both cold, and the body of devouring heaven would cause less damage to her. It would be most appropriate to let the body of devouring heaven control the Emperors Chen and Sheng. All of a sudden, three battlefields appeared. Little girl, follow me. Wu Yu's real body came to the side of the Emperor Xuan in a blink of an eye. He smiled and blinked, provoking slightly. The Emperor Xuan smiled coldly, knowing what he meant. She knew that this was Wu Yu's real body. In her opinion, solving Wu Yu's real body was equivalent to solving Wu Yu. On the other side, the skeleton flame dragon also directly forced the Emperor Yang away. Originally, only the Emperor Chen and the Emperor Sheng were left, and they still surrounded Wu Yu's devouring heaven body. The two of them looked at each other. Then let's open the gap first. Wu Yu has many tricks. Today, let him be defeated on all fronts. That's natural. The two emperors smiled at each other. Today is a relatively important day in life. I can only spare time to write one chapter. I still owe you 2 chapters, and I will return them on a chosen day. Hee. The fastest reading, please bookmark this site to read the latest novels.